America is very good at living in the myth of America. You can't train away bias. You can't train away bigotry. He knows that he can step on the line where freedom of speech is, and that the Supreme Court will not slap his hand away.
And those people haven't given Black people reparations. Right. That needs to be addressed. We are living in literal serfdom. This is like a new medieval happening. This impacts everybody in the United States.
They cannot stand us to have anything.
And once they have established this as a precedent, they are going up the chain.
It has nothing to do with the American people. It is all about power.
What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers. It's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care, and being part of that team in 2022 and 2021. And by the way, I'm still part of that team, by the way. Reached out directly and indirectly to over 100,000 fathers around the world. As always, I like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. We're broadcasting live on September 9th. Yes, we're in September, and then probably in North America, everyone that's supposed to be in school is in school by now. And some, like in the Toronto area where I'm based, it's the first week of school for a lot of people, so they survived over it. So as always, Saturday nights is a place to be. At 9 p.m. Eastern Time, we do State of Things with Aisha, Jill, and LaLa. And just before we get Jill and Aisha up on the stage, just a few quick things. Make sure you, if you haven't already, subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. Also subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Also, make sure you join the State of Things Discord group. Lots of stuff going on there. Lots of rich conversations in between our epic conversations here. So make sure you join it. And two, make sure you, if you want to advertise your business or service on any of my platforms, please contact me at dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. So without further ado, let's get the stars of the show up on the platform. They are here. They are now. They are everything. Good stuff. Welcome, ladies. How we doing?
Good.
Hanging in there. We've hanging in there. Had a lot of issues, the last couple of weeks. So I got to really.
Yes. There's been a few things that go on in both your lives over the last few weeks. I don't know if you want to share any of them, but you've shared with me. But I don't know if any of you want to share anything's going on with the family here.
Well, no,
join the Discord.
Yeah, join the Discord.
I got sick just from. I'm not quite sure. Of course, the broken foot. And
most people don't even know about that. Well, if you're not on Discord, you don't know about that.
Broke my foot. So that was and it was broken through the hurricane. I think I had mentioned when we were doing the last show, that, I don't know what was going on. I was taking plants down from outside, the wind and the rain, and, dragging this foot behind me. I think what saved me was my next door neighbor had lent me a boot. And one of those boots that somebody had left behind who'd broken their leg. And she lent it to me and I started wearing it in the house. And so it sort of just helped to protect the foot, I think, a lot and secure it. And then a long story short about the healthcare business in America and how many times I had to go places to try to get an x-ray. And I'm not even going to go into that because all I know is there are a lot of people working in medicine that shouldn't be. And if, as I told the one girl, if you gave more care about the people sitting in this waiting room as you do those caterpillars on your eyes maybe
Oh God!
things would not be backed up like this.
Ouch! Ouch!
Yeah.
Jill, you didn't go there like that.
Yes, I did.
Oh.
And then I told them I'd rather have a broken foot than to give them any of the money from my insurance company. And I dragged myself and my bum leg out the door into the car. I don't know. I think that I saw how younger people in these positions now, because I'm the old one, but there was an even older lady sitting in there. And the way they were talking to her was rather dismissive, rude, obnoxious, and pretty unforgivable. And also, I don't see people like jumping to go, wow, how can we make this streamline better? People are coming in here for an x-ray. I have a broken foot and I'm driving myself places to my own stuff. And I'm sorry, you're going to have to make an appointment. That's what they told me. And then this poor little old lady, they were talking to her like she was, a dog. Like, we're not taking walk-ins anymore. Sorry, you called 15 minutes ago. Well, it's booked up. And it was so rude that I just said to the girl, like, you are missing a sensitivity chip. You, of all people, shouldn't be working with sick people at all. Well, you think we're here for a party? I said, are you that Dummkopf? I was like, really? What is it? We're here to have fun. So she's, I said, the least you could do is to notify the doctor's offices who are using you as a vendor. Send out an email blast, you dumb. Send it out and say, hey, don't send your patients here because we're no longer taking any more walk-ins because I'm a stupid and I don't know what I'm doing. But no, I'd rather sit there and talk to you like Bambi. It's like, I'm sorry. I think the future is grim in America. Grim. And after, my God, also watching the US Open, this was the first year I really didn't care who won. The crowd is so gross. The crowd, doesn't even acknowledge the beauty that so many, they're all playing great, all these young people. We as Americans, it becomes very nationalistic. And it becomes like, oh, it underscores America. Actually, this year it underscored how hateful we are as a group of people in America because we can't have any grace about somebody else hitting a nice shot. Coco Gauff, yeah, she played well, but she kind of played jujitsu, to be honest. She played jujitsu tennis, which was, I'll take the strength of the tennis player and, just let her make a lot of mistakes, because the reality was the tennis wasn't that. And there's nothing novel that went on. Nothing. It was rather boring. No great shots. It wasn't Serena. It wasn't Venus. And it's going to be a long time before these young people get it together. And the crowds are too much. The crowds are so hateful. And it's just like, be fair to everybody. Wish everybody well. But that said so much about how we are as a group of people. We're so territorial, American, and it's the ugly American, and it's just I probably won't watch the US Open again. I think it's awful. I think it's the tackiest, most low class tournaments of all of them. And if you gave me tickets, I don't even think I would go.
But isn't that the same thing that Simone Biles was saying, though? Like, about how, everybody was so proud and happy for her. But when she got the twisties, which could have killed her, she just, she went out there feeling the way that she was feeling. And then they're like, oh, well, you should have done it for America. And you're just like, this. And it's like, hey, you don't have to jump in the air like that.
Yeah, I don't know if that's what it equates to that for me, because
the nastiness.
Because people are playing and participating in sports like they're still in college, like the frat mentality. And it's something that's really just gross in this country anyway, even when you're in college. It's disgusting. I mean, didn't we kind of like show that most of the frat boys have been like, what, rapists on the down low? I mean, how do you make it now a bonus? So when Djokovic did the one thing, which I really liked, and that I meant that in all with humor about the rapist thing. I don't mean it that way. But when Djokovic hung up the phone from that little Sheldon that he played, it was so wanted, because that boy was just like, listen, you little brat, go back home to mommy and daddy who've been paying your bills all this time. and you're just, going to tennis camp and tennis this and blah, blah, blah. How bourgeois are these kids? And that kid, it should know better. He's half African American. It's like, you need to straighten up. It's just gross. But it has nothing to do with color, to be honest. It has to do with culture in this country. Our socioeconomic group of even our African American kids, if they're rich, they're a little bit out of touch. And they're no different than the white kids in my mind. The nepotism and the rudeness and the lack of breeding, it's showing. And it's so gross. This, first of all, it's also that sick macho crap that I thought we'd gotten away from, but clearly not. So anyway, that's my little rant on
macho is returning, the wraparound glasses and the beer, the beer mugs on the side, it's returning.
Yeah, and the moose at a tennis match, Oh, and then this other stupid American with his stupid, dumb influencer girlfriend who's trying to make tennis cool again, Fritz Taylor or something. It's like, boy, if you don't get rid of that girlfriend who is upstaging your whole damn career, he can't even get through a tournament without girlfriend out there taking pictures for Instagram. It's a new world that is really kind of gross. And I actually feel like when I was comparing all the greats like Djokovic, Federer, all of Serena, the kids today actually as a generation in tennis are rather disappointing to me, because at 19 and 20 and whatever, all our boys and all our girls were already racking up their grand slams. Well, we have to do this whole everybody gets a trophy. Oh, this poor, she finally got her grand slam, or she finally won this tournament. But as I recall, the other greats, we may never see any more tennis players like that again. We will see show people who like to show off for Instagram. But I don't know if we're going to see that great at tennis. Maybe Medvedev team was great. I think the guys are really very, very in great form. Sinner. But the girls and what's happening out there, and the U.S. Open is really trash. It's just trash.
I don't even think it's that people, I think it's that people no longer have a love for their game the way the other players, the older players did. It's like now kids start training camps at ages 3. They don't develop a love for it. It's like, I grew up with this friend who was a dancer. She teaches dance now, still at 48 years old.
Wow.
49. But, when we were younger and we were taking dance lessons, you could tell she had a love for it. She wasn't just talented. She wasn't just talented at it. Mm-hmm. The love of it came out in every step. She did every step to the fullest, and you can just see the love and the joy that she had in it, to the point it was like she was almost floating on air. Right. You can tell kids who come through now who don't have a love for their game, their sport, their art. They're just performing it as a task.
Well, the girl who played Coco today, her biggest fault is Sabalenka, is that she gets in her own head. But with every stroke of her forehand, I'm sorry, she loves it. She wants it each time, like it's a new day, like Groundhog's Day. And you can feel that in her. It's like, oh, I want it. And you could see that she was really devastated to lose. Like, she might be very difficult to work with, but she wants it. And I just feel like everybody has their own motivation for wanting things. But there is this really strange vibe that's happening in the tennis world. And, and I felt that, when the poor German girl got all cussed out from the fans, because they're really very, very rude. And, I can't imagine if you're doing anything, how would you feel if somebody just walked behind you continually booing everything you did all day? I think it's really wrong. And I think that they should make people leave if they have to do that. I just don't think it's acceptable. And it speaks to me, it underscores the American culture and why we're in the deep dive that we're going into and have been in.
And you know, some of this too also has to do with, do you know how many sports channels we have? So people are taking the mentality they have from like hockey and bringing it into
Yeah,
football
or
and basketball,
WW,
and then they're bringing
what
it
is
into
that? Yeah,
tennis, and they're bringing it into other sports. Because, you know, when one season ends, people who are true sports junkies, and I mean junkie in the addict part of it,
right.
then go to the next sport, whatever sport is on, and they take the mentality of their focus sport to that. And that's what you're starting to see in things like tennis, gymnastics, things where you weren't seeing it before, ice skating, of
I
all
know.
things that you wouldn't see it before. It's like you see people with their like
I think the
football
men are
mentality, ice
insecure in
skating.
those sports. I think the younger men seem to be insecure in those sports, which is why they do all of this. They're not secure with it. You're absolutely right. It's like the guy on the ice skate is like, oh, yeah, let me hear you. You know, it's kind of like, you're not a rock star, dudes. And then they just want to be like, have BDE going there.
Yeah.
Speaking of addicts, guys, not to get off the subject too much, but did you guys know that there's a phone place that you can call that is a charity for to prevent people from using alone and ODing. And
Alone?
It's something that's like, there's also one like Don't Walk Home Alone. You can call it, but this one is Don't Use Alone. And they have a switchboard, I guess, people who answer. And it's for people who are struggling with drug addiction. And they're not there to talk people out of their drug use at all. In fact, they're just there to sit there and be there in case something goes wrong if they don't hear them after a certain point of time while they're using their drugs. And it was quite remarkable. That's their only goal, is to say, do you have Narcan? Do you have these things? Lay them out. Leave your door unlocked so that if I have to call, you know, I thought that was such an amazing, oh my God, what a benevolent type of, you know, that really got to me, that people are thinking. And the only way you would be able to think of something like that is you have to have such a tremendous amount of, that comes from some pain and some love to be able to help, to want to create that, to help people. It's one girl they had on the call. It's on NPR. If you get a chance, you want to listen to this story. NPR was carrying it today. I was driving in my car listening. And it was just hearing this girl, she just got out of rehab too. And the potential for her to OD was very high. And she did. So if you want to find out what happened, because even I have to go tune in to find out what happened, because I had to get out of my car and do something. But for me, there are some amazing things trying to be helpful in the world at the moment going on.
That's actually a really good service to have, because think about how many drug addicts actually die alone.
100,000 a year, they said.
Well, folks, we haven't even gotten to topics yet, so this is all good because it's a warm up. It's been a bit of a crazy day. We just got the warm up. Okay, so a few things then. Ms. Jill, who's going to win the men's U.S. Open final? Who's going to win, and who do you want to win?
Joker.
Okay. Also, do we want to say a few quick words about this devastation that's happened in Morocco with this earthquake?
Just prayers to those people. And it's like, you know, we are in free fall in terms of our climate catastrophes. How many more signs do we need that this is a major problem? It's going to keep happening. And the people who are the most destitute get it the worst.
I feel like somebody told us Noah's Ark is coming, and we're the people who are sitting around like not preparing for anything. Like, I feel like our governments have neglected. Building inspectors should be out every freaking day somewhere looking at the buildings, looking at structural things. People should be caring about, even if you don't believe in climate change, you know, some is going on. So let's do something. Like, are we really going to like buy your any longer? Do something. Just fix up. So just in case, call me, whatever you want. I'd be glad to admit I'm wrong if everything goes okay later on. But you know, on the back end, please. I mean, our politicians globally are doing nothing. These houses just came down like they did in Turkey. Same situation.
And think about it. There's a climate event going on every single day. We only hear about the most devastating ones. There is some kind of climate event going on every day that is traumatic for somebody.
Turkey, Greece, Spain have had so many floods at the moment, and a few more. I guess we can't even keep up.
Well, I think also too, I heard a report just for this past week that this summer has been the warmest summer in the world.
Not the warmest,
year.
The hottest. I was talking to my daughter about that. You mentioned at the top of the hour that it was, you know, September. Well, you know what? We used to start school the day after Labor Day in September when I was coming up. And I remember my freshman year, and I sent you guys the track too. But my freshman year of high school, I remember wearing my first day, I wore a sweater. Okay.
Girl.
Yes. And look, these kids went to school by the end of this week, or I think the last kids went to school here, they were wearing tank tops because it was 93 degrees.
Although I do remember we had a little bit of an indigenous summer, and there I was in turtleneck, my new outfit, my new duds for the fall. I looked like I was sweating, hair sweat up. It was just drip, 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 and not the good kind of drip. I was like shiny in like plaid and all these buttons. You know, but I was determined. My grandmother would get it. She's like, "Why are you wearing that?" I was like, "It's first day of school. I'm ready." You know, it was crazy. Oh, but happy birthday, Wig Maniac.
Yes.
Well, I'm just going to get to the comments here.
I'm sorry.
Finally.
I'm sorry.
No problem. It's all good. It's all good. So let's hop. Today is your birthday. Happy birthday, Wig Maniac. Thanks for spending some of it with us.
Virgo.
And then she goes, throw your wigs into the air. Fitness IQ Cam goes, happy birthday. We have Frequency Event Promotions says, if it comes up here, tell them why you're mad, Jill. LOL. Okay. John says,
Jill's secret identity is the mad rapper. I know. Finally figured out who the mad rapper is after almost 30 years. It's Jill.
Okay. John says, welcome, John. Sad generation with happy pictures.
True.
Black Beauty says, hi, everybody. We also, and Aisha agreed, saying, yes, John. So she's replying on the YouTube feed. And Share Night of Ebony Occasions. Good night, all. Good to have you, Share. Good to have you. Hey. We've already went, let's get to our stories. I was going to share one or two stories today, but I'll just give a teaser. Today, I spent the afternoon, most of the day, on a Black gentleman who has 200 acres of farmland.
Wow.
We'll get into that. And then I asked, and he's actually, my dad and he have been friends for years, actually.
Beautiful.
And it was a beautiful. And actually, him and his wife have been married for 50 years. And my dad was the master of ceremonies at their wedding.
Oh, my God. Wow. Lovely.
It was wild. But so we'll get into deep dive maybe next week's show. But I said, you know what? Okay, you can tell me you got 200 acres land. And I sort of saw it. But then he took me out on a 4x4 and drove for 20 minutes. And I saw
how beautiful
200 acres of land. And he's owned it since 1977.
Oh, wow.
And it's only 45 minutes drive from like eastern part of Greater Toronto. It was amazing. Wow. Still like if either, and LaLa's not here tonight because she's traveling, because I think she sung or went to her niece's wedding. I think she also sung at it too. But if any of you ladies ever come out to it, I will make sure to take you there. You would love it. Like 200
Tell him I'm moving in. Well, if you could give me 1 acre, half.
Yeah.
Even in the corner.
Cows are there. He's showing one field there'll be corn there
Oh,
next
I
year.
would love that.
It'd be right up your alley, Jill. It was so amazing. Like, to know a man, he's known me since I've been born. To a black man, it's not like some celebrity or anything. And he was a policeman for about 40
That's
years
wonderful.
on the Toronto Police Force. And him and his wife, beautiful people. Like, I mean, wonderful. And it really. So I said to him, I said, I'd love to bring some young people up to your farm and just see that you own this.
Right.
That dream you can achieve. Like, and he's owned it.
It needs to be the norm.
Yeah. Like ownership.
But it's not the norm.
200 acres. It was phenomenal. I'm still, but going out and just looking at that and like, I just going, wow. And I asked him, and I'm not going to tell, I says, has anyone offered to buy this off you lately? He goes, yeah, developers are after him. Let me just put it. Sure. What he told me he was recently offered. I went, oh, and he says, I'm not selling it.
Right.
I got a younger daughter, generational wealth, all that, but it was amazing. Right. Yes, fitness IQ. You're saying nice. It was really nice. I mean, and he has this get together every year. Once a year, he just invites people up. And like there was probably about 100 people this year, but he said he's had times where he's had 300 people, and there's more than enough room.
Well, he's obviously one of those people that, the supreme powers have chosen to be one of the caretakers of this planet, and hopefully, because we have so few, it's so easy for them to sell. People sell typically for the money, and that's why we no longer have caretakers that are looking out for humanity.
And it's good that his offspring are seeing that he won't sell, so they will have a stronger kinship tied to it. Then
look at this frequency event promotions is saying, yes, I'd like to go out to next year's cookout. I will see if we can. Well, you know what? You don't have to wait till next year. If you want to come out with me one day, and the funny thing is, he drives from downtown Toronto there 4 days a week, comes back at night.
Oh, wow.
Just beautiful. And so it was just such a humble guy. And I when we were out, I asked him, you've been with your wife for 50 years. Can you give me some wisdom? And he shared some really good stuff. And he said, Frigga, how much do we have to pay to be in your good grace? I'll give you a tab after. All right, let's go on. So I wanted to share that next week, but today was just phenomenal. And I'm going to share something with the ladies when we finish that'll also maybe give them a tease to come to another place I need to take them. But we'll get down to business. So where we want to start first? Okay. There's so many things. Okay, let's start with this. Jim Jordan receives a scathing response from Fani Willis. Wow.
Oh my gosh. She spanked that. I watched that. I watched it first when it first came out. Then I had to go back and read it. And she went line by line by line. She quoted law. She told him what his job was as a U.S. congressman, and it had nothing to do with overseeing any kind of criminal investigation. She told him the part for a lot of people was the fact that she said, look, if you want to know about the law, you can buy this book here.
Take a course.
Yes.
Because you are not a member of the bar. Now, just so if you don't know, Jim Jordan is a lawyer. Well, he went to law school, but he did not pass the bar.
Right.
Which is why she threw that in.
Yeah.
But the part for me was the part toward the end where she's like, yes, we do get federal money. Here's what we spend it on. Now, if you really want to know how you can help with oversight over the funds, you can add more money to domestic violence prosecutions, money to help get our rape cases that have been sitting here, the tests done, programs for juvenile justice prevention. I mean, she went down the list. and then provided the list of programs that they actually used the funding for, none of which is a criminal case at all. They're all really like testing programs and remediation, things that the state government and the local taxes cannot fund alone.
I know.
None of it has to do with prosecution. None of it is salaries. And basically, she told him, I don't have to respond, but here's a few things I am going to respond to.
Yeah.
And,
what was it? How many pages was it again?
Was it like 4 or 5 pages?
It was
like, no, I take it back. It was in the tens of pages.
Yes, it was. I thought it was, wasn't it 9?
Like 12 pages, 12 or 14 pages. And on top of all that, Jim Jordan's response wasn't to come for her again. It was to go back and talk about Jack Smith. Yeah,
that's true. She excavated his. I mean, it was like, whoa, sorry to be so crude, but it was like,
he was like,
I actually was like,
he was like, you're clogged and I'm a laxative.
Oh my gosh. She really was like, it was such a read that I was like, wow, does he even know? I was like, he doesn't know anything about law. He clearly is the stupidest man in America. He's one of the dumbest. And then I started thinking, he's that demon that's a low-level demon. Like if you were watching Buffy and the Vampire Slayer or something, he'd be the one in a really dirty office and still trying to get over and trying to be a bigger demon and doing everything with the bigger vampires. Like, I can do it.
You know what?
I can do it.
Mitch McConnell
he's
freezes
so
and
gross.
sees the Grim Reaper. It's not the Grim Reaper he's seeing. It's Jim Jordan walking by. That's what it is. It's Jim Jordan. No, Jim Jordan reminds me of, what's that little thing in the Hunchback of Notre Dame series, the films. What's God?
I don't know. I don't remember any of them. But he's kind of like Schmeagol.
I don't know.
That's what it. Yes.
Schmeagol.
Yes, that's what it was. I was trying to think of.
Not from Harry
Lord of the
Potter.
Rings. Rings.
Lord of the Rings. He even looks like Schmeagol.
Yes,
he
does.
He looks like animators went and took his face and just stretched it a little. But he's so just like, this read was like nothing I don't think anybody had ever done, and it was long overdue for someone of Fani's incredible intelligence to just say, hey, here, take this. Because at this point, she's broken it down for all of us so much about Rico, all this stuff, that I'm inclined to kind of see, if you really look at what she's basically saying, is that the entire GOP is a Rico crime syndicate.
Yeah.
Basically, she has spilled the beans and opened it up on everybody to really take a long, hard look on the fact that, you know, they all have a mission and an agenda, and it's to disrupt and get rid of our democracy. They're not even trying to work with what our constitutional values are, what the Constitution says. So in my mind, they really are Rico crime syndicate organization. And it would be hard pressed. They all of them need to keep their mouths closed, because it's the connection to their goal and to tie themselves into this Rico thing is big. So they should just sit back, get some popcorn, and shut the fuck up, because the more they talk, the more you see like, oh, so you are part of this too. I mean, that this is what they did.
Because remember, she's a politician too, because she runs for her office, but she's a prosecutor. She is law enforcement. Jim Jordan is not. And he seems to think that he is, because he's head of the Judicial Committee. The Judicial Committee, let's be very clear, they are only supposed to look at civil acts against the federal government, not state level crimes. Not only that, but you know, beside all that too, here's why Lindsey Graham is interesting, because he also, you know, what came out afterwards was the report from that initial grand jury, and they recommended that he be prosecuted. Lindsey Graham will not so much as send a letter to Fani. You know why? Because he does not want to get his ass read or indicted. Because remember,
he doesn't want that smoke.
He don't want that
No,
smoke.
he doesn't. That's why he keeps talking. And you would think that he would shut up. You know, she didn't indict you yet.
No.
That doesn't mean that she won't. And that
But
she
it doesn't
can't.
mean that he isn't already cooperating. But the fact that he is running his jaw makes me think he's really cooperating, and he's trying to
get in
throw
front of
us
it before
off.
it comes out. And
Trying to throw us all off. Like,
yeah,
that
that
don't make no
because
sense.
he knows that Trump will come for him again, and he already got booed in his own hometown, so he doesn't want that again either. But I think
you better sit back and have a drink.
You know what she did to Jim Jordan, which I'm mad that Alvin Bragg did not do when Jim brought his shenanigans to New York City and tried to have that thing. And Alvin Bragg just ignored it and said, we're not going to pay attention to it. No, Fani was like, you know what? I'm going to pay you what little attention you deserve, but I'm also going to set some things straight here. And I'm going to make sure that you don't ever in your life come for me again unless I send for you.
Well, this is why they don't like Black women. And they hate us so much, you know, because we come straight, you know, like this, right? But the thing is, with Black men and white men, your overseer, that gets really intense when a Black man steps to a white man like that. But it needs to happen. It needs to be dressed down like, you know, it needs to happen. They need to, you know, Alvin Bragg should have done something like that, but maybe it wouldn't have been in that tone. It has to be done in a different way.
Right.
Of I'm going to break you, you know, because then it's still like, you know, we're watching Django or something. It's just like really awkward still because white men don't fare too well after that. Yeah. And they actually, I mean, look at what they've done to Barack Obama. I mean, they are so bent on destroying this man's even every living breath. I mean, let's not ever forget that they all got in their RICO mindset when Barack Obama got elected as president.
Well, yeah,
so that was
the Caucus said. That's what we're going to do.
Heritage Foundation, all them Liberty and all them like Federalists and Hill folk, they collected them up. But it really is the rich white people who sit and smile at your faces at these charities and these banquets, and they're simpleton, insidious. They're not legit, and they might even be standing next to you at a Beyonce concert. Don't ever get it twisted. No, really.
No, seriously.
Because how people vote and what they show to you, two different things. Because for me, it's always been a bit of a thing. Like, look at your odds in a room, at your office, everywhere. Look at the odds of who is on your side and who isn't. Just sit there quietly and just evaluate. There were 71 million who voted for Donald Trump that had nothing, who really aren't really they're just not very good people. There's no other way to say it, or they're just dim-witted. So what do? I can tell you one thing. You let that beast get back in again, and people this will be the countdown, the final countdown. And, you know, it's not even a joke what they're doing. So you're right. Fani did what needed to be done. It's like when we talked about Piers Morgan interviewing that other.
Oh, yeah. And you know,
the journalists need to start coming back. Ari Melber's been pushing at it a little bit.
Mehdi Hassan went after Vivek, and that was good. Yeah.
They all have to go like, listen, you're a liar. Get the off my stage. Boom. You know, you need to do it. You know, when Prince made Kim Kardashian go sit her down on stage, that's what you need to be doing, journalists. You need to be like, you gonna lie up here?
We enjoyed it, Byron Donald. I love that one too.
And didn't you guys love when Peter Navarro was singing for his life out there about how unfair life was, and then the people behind him had a whistle?
You were on Ari Melber. It's old on yourself.
Those kids behind him killed me. They were like holding up their sign, and he's like going, "Oh, well, so this is America." I have to say, I was on the floor. I applaud
Ms.
those
Willis. Ms. Willis was fire. I mean,
that
like,
was beautiful.
I thought that was something else, and the level of language she used.
He is my hero.
But there's one thing she gave him one shred of dignity, because me personally, I am petty enough to say, you're concerned about crime in Fulton County, Georgia, but in your backyard, there are these crimes going on, and you don't seem to care. And not only those crimes, but let's talk about when she got to the part about the rape cases. She left him his dignity because she didn't talk about the rape cases that occurred at OSU on the wrestling team when he was assistant coach. So, she was in her bag. If
that was a root canal, he wouldn't have any teeth, y'all.
Yeah. No.
If that letter was a root canal, Jim Jordan would be like, there'd be all gums there.
He's a jellyfish. She took his skeleton and it's hanging in her closet right now. His spine, everything, yellow shirt, his dignity, all of it. She took his manhood. She took his lifestyle. She took
everything. She took that jaundiced yellow shirt that he wears, and
he's lucky that she didn't come for that either, because as Black women, we've been talking about that for a minute.
This is a man who should never wear yellow. I mean, he has a yellow tie. He wears
not yellow. It's white. It was white,
but it looks dingy. Dingy.
Yellow tie. Oh my God. She went after
you could sing "Ring Around the Collar" again, and the yellow
tie. Wearing 1980s short sleeve dress shirts.
I know. I think he thinks it's a thing, but he just looks like he should win the Dusty Crotch Award.
Oh my gosh. We're going to the next conversation topic. All right. Deborah Ojo from LinkedIn says, hi guys. Frequency Event Promotion says, Jill, what did you have for breakfast, lunch, and dinner today? And also asks,
looks like human crabs.
Does Jill do any stand-up comedy? We've asked that before. And she goes, Frequency Event Promotions goes again. Okay. Dr. Vibe, how are you holding a straight face? I've been around for a bit with these wonderful ladies, so I know the drill. He says also, oh my God, Jill is on fire. We are dying with laughter. There we go. So Frequency Event Promotions.
When I get with you guys, it's all over. I'm rather a small person.
All right. So, and see, folks, we've only had an appetizer and one topic. We got more to come. Oh, goodness. Oh, oh gosh, as we would say. Oh gosh.
Yeah, we should probably get to the other dragging that happened.
Did you see what Jill just did? Did you just see what Jill did? She's cooling off, but she had notes. Oh gosh. This is trouble. This is going to be trouble tonight. Okay, let's move forward. I think it's only going to go the same direction here. 45-8 Mark Meadows loses bid to move Georgia election case.
And that was a Black judge. Okay. Black people were winning this week. That was a Black judge. And he basically was like, yeah, you were campaigning. Let's not even front. You're campaigning. We're done. Nope. Mark Meadows was like, well, I'm going to appeal. But it's like, dude, straight up, like the guy said, and the guy, his judgment, if you get to read it, was just as deep in law as Fani's letter. And he basically said he violated the Hatch Act. You were working on behalf of candidate Trump, not President Trump. You were doing it from the Oval Office on the federal phone of the presidency, and that is a violation of the law. Period. There really is nothing to discuss here. So that right there should get everybody else who thinks that they have that same claim scared. Rudy, because you weren't officially hired by the office of the presidency. So you can't use that. And not only that, but that should scare Trump more than anybody, because you are operating as candidate Trump, not President Trump, which means yours isn't going to get moved to federal either.
Rudy's trying to sell his house now, they say, but they took so long dealing with him. That man has money somewhere else. He's moved it into somebody's name, or
don't worry, Shay Moss's attorney will find it.
And they need to do some sniffing around, because it's all of them have been. In fact, all of them have been moving their money because they know this day has been coming. That's why I'm really excited to find out if Jack Smith is actually going to freeze those the campaign contributions that Trump had, if that's really what his meeting was about with his what was it, his next the grand jury for that. Just this past Thursday they met. So with Mark Meadows, it's like, it's so amazing because now Scott McAfee, the judge, who's really like 34 years old, the judge, and
bald.
Yeah, but he's actually cool. I kind of like, I'm like,
yes, I thought he was older, but and that he had more experience.
Credentials from, like, he's not like that other bimbo who came from Colombia, who's you know, who I will always wonder, the judge that
Cannon.
Yeah, Cannon, who went to a serious private school after immigrating with her mom, and the school was like $70,000 a year as a kid.
But she never practiced law. That's the other part.
Yeah, but it's like, who was her mama with that they could afford as immigrants to send her to this school?
And remember this,
it all paid off. She's a judge. But so McAfee's,
he worked for Fani, remember?
Yes, he did. So what's really cool about him is that he worked for Fani. And he also he seems like a really, you know, obviously he's a Republican. I mean, with his kids, his wife already married, and he just stayed the course, I guess, right?
Well, you know what?
And now he has to calculate Meadows inside this window, which they say Fani and them said it would be a 4-month trial for the ones who wanted to sever the other day. But that case is probably going to go through in October with Cheesebro and
Powell. Yeah, Powell filed to have her, because the judge, remember, he said, you two are being tried together. I'm not separating your cases. So now Powell filed to separate their case from the other 17 people. He's not going to have that either. And truth be told, Fani's people made a very, very, very good and compelling argument when they said, you know what, we're ready to go with all of them, because to have so many different separate cases is going to be very costly. And that is something that he can weigh as the judge. The cost to the people of Georgia, and is the cost worth the justice? So I think that there will be a couple smaller cases, but I don't think that it will be as many as they're hoping it will be.
I think he needs to try them at the same time, because once you let the cat out of the bag, then you know, everybody knows the game plan. And I really feel that then it just changes the whole dynamic, and people, the fatigue that's going to come with it. But more importantly, they better make sure they just get Trump. I mean, fast and furious at this point. It's just too much, you know?
Well, I think though that Fani has showed us though that she is very smart, and she's always got something on the burner, whether we know it or not. And so I think that all the stuff that will come out in October will be really direct at those two.
Ooh, that's true. Allow, you know, remember, I was always talking like, if she doesn't do anything, she's just piddling around and stuff. Boy, was I wrong. I mean, like, piddling, wasn't nobody piddling. No. They're just looking at the length of this case and what's going on. 39 people were potentially charged, which shows you how big the entity was, the spider web, the corruption, how deep it really goes. And if people aren't curious, then you're just not an American. Because for me, you know, I'm not the most, you know, flag waving chick in the world, but at the end of the day, you know, I'm like, I do respect so many things about this country and the potential that it has, but we have to fight for those things that we have envisioned for it. Just like anything, it's like you have a company and you sell it, and then somebody comes along and turns it into like freaking garbage. Then what is that? You know, we've got to start to have some kind of integrity and backbone. It's like a friend, people were talking about these Teslas, right? My family came out for a wedding, and everyone's like, oh my God, there's so many Teslas out here. And I was like, right, there are. But here's the thing. I won't drive a white supremacist car or an apartheid car. I won't. That's what it is. That's, you're supporting Elon Musk's ideology, and everybody else who buy stock, who don't really give a about humanity and don't care about, morals or integrity or anything. They want to make the world better for themselves. They don't give a shit about anybody else. It says a lot to me. That is a white supremacist car. It was the very reason that I got rid of Twitter. There are people who go, I can't, Black people I've been seeing saying,
yes, you can.
Of course, they have these, they're making their money on it. These journalists, Mara Gay or whatever I can't get rid of my Twitter account. Yes, you can. Because at what point, what do you need to see happen? Do any of you need to see happen before you decide that your money is going to rule and control over to support this man's ideologies? They're horrible. Where do you draw the line? This is like disgusting to me. So that's where I've been about Mark Meadows. I'm glad he lost. Ha, 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 ha.
And you know what, too, Jill, what you said about the 39 people can be indicted. Now, keep in mind, her case is really a larger case than what Jack Smith did. And Jack Smith had those unindicted co-conspirators that he could still charge at any time.
He
Which
sure
means
can.
he went directly for Trump because that's the fastest case that he could get out the way. Right. She went for those 19 because she had the most evidence, the most damning evidence, and could get them squared away rather quickly. Now, those other 20 should be worried because let somebody else make a deal that's one of those 19. Lindsay, Missy, you're getting thrown under the bus. Trump, Giuliani, all of them are going to throw you first. Mark, look, you need to watch out for Mark, Trump, and Giuliani because they will name you, Lindsay.
I know, and it's really crazy because they don't want to take responsibility. They're still going around with these talking points. Kari with Piers, whatever his name is, and if you need to see that, watch the Piers
Morgan.
We're actually going to talk about that.
Kari Lake, where they've got a split screen of her talking about how wonderful Trump's, the insurrection, it was peaceful, tearing up, killing, and he came for her. He was like, what are you talking about? You're wrong. You guys killed people. So, and let's not forget, Enrique Torres. How's this man of color going to sit up there? He got the most time, y'all. Even I was like, I was a little uncomfortable about it, only because I was like, okay, he deserves it. However, does he? I mean, yes. He does, but he got 22 years and he's not even the main guy of the Proud Boys.
But remember why he was in jail for what was it? Dismantling a Black Lives Matter something.
That's true, but what a cool hero.
So guess what? You know what? Look, there are some
Ricky is going to be known as Ricky girl. And here's the interesting thing. He's going to have to decide if the white supremacists are going to be giving him cover in prison, or is it going to be,
the Black folks aren't going to put him in prison.
No, they're not. But the white folks may not either.
We have to throw away. I'm sorry.
The white folks may not either. That's the interesting dilemma. And he effed around and found out.
Mm-hmm.
What a jerk. What an idiot.
Okay.
I mean, that's just dumb.
All right, let's get some comments here. Got Black Beauty talking here. Let's get it up here. It's really concerning how mute the Republican Party voters are content to have proxies such as Jordan 45 and the Heritage Foundation continue to degrade our democracy.
Well, they're the quote unquote military party. A lot of military people vote Republican, but it's one Republican holding up their promotions. So
and Aisha responded to that. Aisha responded to that comment. It's what they want. It's the racism. Appreciate Aisha responding in real time to the comments that are going up there. All right, let's move on. And I think this, because of everything else that's going on, we're not hearing a lot about this, but this story keeps on looming and seems like it could get bigger. Special counsel to indict Hunter Biden in gun case this month, the Department of Justice says.
Here's the thing. You know what? If he did wrong, indict him. Go after it. Do whatever. The thing I like is the fact that Joe Biden is like, you know what? DOJ, do your job. I'm staying out of it. The problem that I have is the false equivalency that the Republican Party is trying to make with this. You have no evidence that Joe Biden had anything to do with Hunter Biden's crimes at all. No evidence. So trying to say that, oh, Joe Biden is mixed up in here somewhat, and every time you do, every time you bring it to committee, every time you have your quote unquote evidence, it falls apart and falls flat. And not only that, but Hunter Biden, let's be very clear, has never held political office, public office, or served in the Oval Office. On the other hand, Ivanka and Jared did. And they used their positions in that office to make $2 billion upon their like the day after they left. This is what they were worth. And not only that, but remember, Jared couldn't get what is it that you need to have, Jill, to be able to view classified documents? He couldn't get
security clearance.
Security clearance because he couldn't get that. And Trump, what did Trump
security
do?
clearance
overrode it. He overrode it. So yeah. Go ahead.
People don't understand that security clearance is when they sit you down and they ask you 1,000,001 questions, usually very compromising questions. And basically, if you answer it and you don't get the clearance, that's because something makes you unqualified, a security risk of whoever you met, who you sat with, who you did, or whatever. And we're talking in things like I had a friend who worked for whatever, I'm not going to go into that, but I will say, someone told me that they were asked if they had an affair, if they had, they even asked my friend's wife about their affair, if they had any. And I think one of them did, and one said yes, but the whole point was that wasn't necessarily the security risk. The risk is when you don't say something and they already know that you're lying to them.
And that was Jared's thing. When they asked him stuff, there were connections that he had and conversations he had that he lied about. Okay. So not only that, but they were working as special what were they called? They had some counselors
or cyclops
special advisors to the president. Jared was overseeing a lot of the Middle Eastern foreign policy.
Yes.
Okay. So, and then he made all his money from these Middle Eastern connections afterwards. And you don't want to look into that. And that for me, I understand Joe Biden wanted to stay out of the DOJ's way because he wants to see him impartial while they're doing this to his son. But
it's alleged that he handed
like, hey, wait a second. Let's go after everybody who's corrupt. You want, yes, and like he said, if Hunter did this, go after him. You know what?
No, but nobody wants to go and find out what happened to Jamal Khashoggi. They handed it on a silver platter.
Exactly.
I believe
the Trump White House had something to do with that. Let's be very clear. There was something to do with that because of the information that was exchanged.
Yeah.
And the fact that we have it what is
and
it?
After
MSB or MBS, whatever his name is, him and Jared like this.
They've known each other from their schooling,
their whole lives.
Nepo babies. But we also know that the other day the emails were found by Jack Smith and them from the Secret Service. That's another thing that came to light. So all those missing emails, suddenly now they have them. And basically we're dealing with that aspect of like, they were about to turn this place up. And really, they were so close. And if people start to believe that that's acceptable and continue to believe this, then the country really doesn't deserve to be in the hands of American citizens any longer, because it really won't be after that. It will belong to some really nefarious group of people. But the way they have treated our service people, and they have put them in harm's way, our CIA people, our FBI, and that these people speak this just the stuff they say about our men and women serving.
Mm-hmm.
And then to me is, if you got friends who are like that, or they're Trumpers or whatever, turn them off. The best thing I've ever said is to shun them, avoid them like the plague. It's the only way. Don't hire them either.
And I'm going to tell you something. This goes back to Trump's very first meetings when he first got in the White House. Anyone ever comes and says to you, oh, these documents, things, blah, 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 whatever, Joe Biden, here's what you tell them. The first thing that Trump did when he got in the White House was have those two people from Russia there and was showing them classified documents. It's on video. It's audio recorded. It's been transcribed. He did it in the Oval Office. Okay. So what makes you think that he wouldn't do that outside of the Oval Office?
Because are these people the type of people that think it's okay for men to take their pants out and put their on the table with each other? Because that's really what all this stuff, they think it's that harmless locker room. We all put our on the table to see who had the biggest one. This is deeper than that. This is about control and power. This is not a let's see whose is bigger right now at all. This is much more than these people
more power
believe, who sit at home with their beers and whatever, say they're going to give something up and can't get rid of it.
Kid Rock said he showed me classified stuff that I wasn't supposed to look at.
Right.
Kid Rock said that long before there was a special counsel, long before Merrick Garland even started looking at anything. Kid Rock said this back in 20?
But people will just toss that off like Kid Rock was exaggerating. I mean, here's the other thing that
he
they
said it again recently.
What they want to do, but Kid Rock couldn't even give up that beer that he seemed to be so about with the trans folks. But that Kid Rock means he's an idiot. He's another Nepo baby, little rich kid pretending to be, hip.
Who stole
pretending to be a musician, which is really funny.
Yeah,
but anyway,
and borrowed hip hop till it didn't benefit him any.
Yeah. They
he's gross.
Always got to do that. But then the thing with Hunter Biden, the other thing that's even concerning is that we continue to allow, so they want to get him on taxes that he filed late, and that's a misdemeanor. But here's the problem. If this Weiss guy, the special counsel Weiss, who definitely has put his on the table and wants people to see his so basically this whole thing is, if you start allowing people to bring back a penalty, more than a penalty, like an actual legal precedent of imprisoning somebody for filing late on your taxes, y'all better be careful what you wish it for, because you set a precedent for other cases within the states and everywhere else to implement on regular old Mr. and Mrs. Joe. Yeah. That's what you start doing, even with gun laws.
And let's be clear,
doing that. But wait, you all don't want to address gun laws in your little schools that kill your kids, but you want to trip on Hunter Biden? Go.
And let's be clear, Hunter Biden Hunter Biden,
he's collecting money, guys, for a job. I'd like to be working on stuff. Hire me. Yeah. I mean, honestly, these are making money. Marjorie Trader Green, she's another one. Can somebody just please, let's really stop. She represents white American women. Marjorie Trader Green. So when all white women sit up there going, I don't understand. Really? Y'all keep voting this cow back in. And that's an insult to cows. Sorry.
And Hunter Biden, let's be clear, he filed his taxes late.
Well, it looks like
high because he was high. He was in the heat of his addiction. That's why he filed late. And when he got the gun, they asked him, "Are you addicted or are you high right now?"
But here's the deal.
He said no. He was going to say, "Yeah, I'm high. I'm buying a gun."
He can pay the penalty if he files late.
Exactly.
So what? Like every other citizen. But let me tell you something. They've been trying so hard. Weiss can't find the connection about that House of Sweden bill, because they've been trying to take that and dip it in and say, Hunter Biden was giving $50,000 a month to his dad.
Yeah.
Well, Hunter Biden had a company, and there were other people employed in this company. And guess what? They rented from House of Sweden. Why doesn't go try to rent an office there? It costs money.
No, I mean, is that they're mad because that guy came and said, the guy that they brought in to testify was like, well, yeah, I was in business with him, but yeah, and yeah, he called his dad up and told his dad say hi to this person, but he didn't tell him that he was doing business with him. And Joe Biden was talking to him about the weather, nothing that had anything to do with our business.
I mean, we all have been in situations where if you have a leg up on something, you say, oh, here's my uncle, they come through, but you're not implementing them into your. It could be a flex. I mean, is it wrong to flex your dad? No. What the everybody else flexes if they can, even on low.
Tom Jr. does it all the time.
I know.
Right? And he's rich too, talking about, there was cocaine, who's cocaine with that? It had to be Hunter's. You could have left it.
No, they actually came out and said that it had been placed there. It was definitely placed there. It was a general and some kind of military research. So
I'm not.
That's
surprised.
a real hidden thing because I believe there's somebody on a camera that they know who put it there.
Oh yeah, remember you can't trust. Remember, some of those Secret Service can't be trusted. Remember, Barack Obama had that detail. Some of them they had to get rid of because they were white supremacists.
Girl, the dogs didn't like them. That's your proof right there. You got a dog that doesn't like somebody. That's it.
And the dogs mysteriously died, except for the one.
Okay, let's move on to our next conversation topic. We still got a bit
that might
to
have
go
been the dog that sniffed the original cocaine on somebody.
Okay. Next up, the U.S. Supreme Court. Jill brought this. U.S. Supreme Court took away abortion rights. Mexico's High Court just did the opposite.
Amazing. So Mexico, and I will read what I wrote and what I had about this because it's really phenomenal. So can you guys see me?
Yes, we can.
We can see you, yep.
So Mexico's highest court on Wednesday tossed out federal criminal penalties for abortion in a sweeping national decision hailed by reproductive rights groups. The ruling means individuals nationwide will be able to access abortion care at federal health facilities, even in states with laws banning the procedure. Many groups are celebrating it. The Center for Reproductive Rights was saying it's a victory for the movement and for all women, and we hope it impacts reproductive policies across the region. About 70% of Mexico's population is subscribed to the federal health system. So that means we will see a massive and collective impact after this ruling. The court affirmed an earlier decision that said laws criminalizing abortion were unconstitutional, ordering Mexico's congressional chambers to remove penalties for abortion from the country's penal codes before the end of its current session. The criminalization, this is very key, of abortion constitutes an act of violence and discrimination based on gender, since it perpetuates the stereotype that women and pregnant persons can only freely exercise their sexuality to procreate. So basically, we have been seeing all these other countries that have started to liberalize abortion laws in the last 30 years. More than 60 countries have done so, including Spain, Thailand, South Africa, and South Korea. Meanwhile, the United States and our wonderful U.S. Supreme Court last year overturning Roe v. Wade is in the category with 4 nations standing side by side with it that restricted abortion rights. El Salvador, where we take in their immigrants. Remember, we're taking El Salvador has said no, and then we're taking El Salvador, Nicaragua, and Poland. Good going, SCOTUS. You did good, right?
Yeah, and here's the other part of it too, is that remember who's on the border of Mexico? All those southern states that have pretty much outlawed abortion in the U.S. So we already know that, and Jill and I talked about this earlier off camera, but we already know that they're trying to criminalize and inspect women going between the states in the country. Okay. Oh, are you going for an abort? Things that they can't really do or enforce, or in our virtually
like, is your mama?
They're trying to constrict women's travel within the country.
Yeah.
They're going. The next thing they're going to do is constrict women's travel outside the country, because women, it is easier and cheaper for women to go to Mexico from someplace like San Antonio as opposed to going to Illinois, which is the closest state to
and
Texas.
They take your health insurance too, by the way.
Yes,
a lot of these Latin American countries, like in Costa Rica, they'll take your health insurance here. So if you have any kind of surgeries or anything that you need done, check it out. Concierge medical facilities are really big, and they're not, their mortality rate here isn't even as, I think Mexico's coming up better than we are, actually. Mm-hmm. So we have a very high infant mortality rate.
Yeah.
To be honest, they want folks to have babies, but haven't even prepped up the place. You might as well go out and have your baby in a field, because America seems to do really poorly with letting people have babies and pushing you out the next day after you've had C-sections and whatever. It's really heartless, cruel place.
And what that article also says when you read it is that it will prevent doctors who before would say they could not give abortions, whether they're medically necessary or whatever, because of the penalties. The penalties are now being removed. It'll take some time, they said, but the penalties will be removed in every state. And now doctors who ordinarily were like, I cannot do that, will not have to be able to turn women away for healthcare.
Right.
Do you think that this will have? Well, obviously it won't have any influence on the United States at all.
Look.
No, but there's so many other countries that just seem like they're so much better.
Yeah, and see, they have what they did was they put this is the difference between what Mexico did and the U.S. did. The U.S. allowed a court case to set precedent without putting the precedent and codifying it into law. Mexico made this part of their law, their federal law. We won't do that, because that this court case basically said, hey, this can't be a federal thing, so send it to the states and let the states decide. We struggle. Either we're going to be a country, a unified country, a United States.
No, we're going to be the U.S. Open
and have one code of laws, or we're going to have 50 plus, don't forget the territories, different sets of laws.
There's too much money to be made.
They're incongruent.
There's too much money to be made when people are divided.
Yeah.
It's so interesting. People have often gone on and on about communism and their fear of it and everything. Well, we all shop at the same places. We all have the same wallpaper, essentially. We all have the same paint access. We all drive the same cars. Ain't nobody got nothing different. We're all following somebody. Individuality went out the window. Remember how your parents used to say, be an individual? They don't want that anymore. They want us to follow people. Like I'm an idiot.
And we need to be clear, this thing of this focus on states' rights. Okay, different jurisdictions, I get that. But having this whole states' rights thing is really let's face it, it was the compromise that allowed for Lincoln to get the Union back together over the issue of slavery. And allowing the states to, because what happened after Reconstruction and whatever, and people, we're going to put our voting rights in states' rights. And it's becoming a problem.
Yeah, but the
states' rights, it's like people, not everyone wants to be governed under these states' rights.
Yeah,
but only a small minority is making those laws.
But the saddest reality is to wake up and find out that the myth in this country that Americans have never really had to sacrifice anything, so they don't. I just was reading about how many people have, moved to Florida, even in light of everything that's going on that's completely criminal. And it all comes down to money. And the reason that it can be manipulated and people can be so taken so easily and, you know, buy their Teslas and do all of this, buy into other ideologies that are actually working against your own livelihoods. The reason for that is just not knowing how to sacrifice and just thinking, well, it's not my life, but ultimately not seeing themselves in the cycle and the circle of life. And so that's how spiritually bereft and depraved American people are. They're so out of touch. They don't even feel, they don't know touch. They don't even know connection. It is either let's get really angry and because let's not forget, also in Georgia, they, out of spite, just like this Weiss guy who went after Hunter Biden, they went after 60 protesters with a RICO law just to get back at Fani. So these are retaliatory acts going on in our country. And we're all in our own private Idahos, not paying any, not really knowing what to do or how do we do it, because we also have one really majorly big thing going on, a very slow DOJ. Yes, Jack Smith is on the thing, but Merrick Garland is still playing with his, it ain't even come out of the drawer.
He's slow. He has been
It's
at this
terrible.
point.
He should have been, you know, Rahm Emanuel had like after like the Mike in Ferguson, there were people on planes next day. What the?
Yeah.
He needs a special counsel to like take a turd out of his. I'm so upset.
Yeah, and I get Joe Biden at some point saying, I get Joe Biden saying he doesn't want to interfere.
He needs to
but
go.
the one thing, but here we are. But here's the problem, right? Here's the problem.
That needs to be his campaign promise. I'll get rid of him.
Well, no, because here's the problem. He can't get rid of him. Here's the problem is that he can even ask him to step down. He can't get anybody confirmed. Because remember, they've got to have it's a 60-40 vote.
I don't know. There's a whole revamp that needs to happen with the Democrats.
But remember, no, those Republicans right now, they're MAGA Republicans. They're holding the Donald Trump line. We will only confirm your person if you tell the DOJ to back off Trump. He can't.
And if they're doing it by hook or crook, so should we. Sorry.
Yeah. And I'm just like, I'm kind of like, Joe, you walked into that. But here's the thing. I'm kind of scared that if he wins, you know, they're not going to confirm anybody. Because remember, they still haven't confirmed he's got like almost half his things still being held up. They haven't confirmed. He's got interim people in because they haven't confirmed people.
Well, maybe people need to get their out and vote. We're really the saddest part of all is we're only dealing with 40% of the population that actually vote.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. Everybody's on their phones thinking they're so pretty.
All right, let's move on.
They're going to learn in the worst way. They don't.
Cinnamon Canela says, yes, Florida is getting overpopulated every day. I feel less and less wildlife around.
Oh, no, you have wildlife.
And then let's go to our next conversation.
Nasty human beings.
Okay.
Alligators would be better.
Next conversation piece. Appeals court allows Texas to keep anti-immigrant buoys in the Rio Grande for now.
Can you believe that? And Governor Abbott said, these are the buoys that he put that have blades on them. And they run 1,000 feet across the Rio Grande because Abbott, who does so much walking and swimming, would know how difficult trek is to go anywhere without a wheelchair. So, so basically, he put a meat grinder in the middle of the Rio Grande, so that if immigrants either drift that way, if they're swimming,
or the tide carries them,
tide takes them, God forbid, you are hamburger, or you become maimed or whatever. So he was told. This is so crazy. A court actually had to tell this evil that it was illegal. And how long did it take for people to do that? Where was the person to fly there and go, listen, Aren't we sick of Abbott? Like, seriously, guys.
Well, that's because, and the reason that
someone
happened is
just
because
steal his
Biden actually sued him. Remember, this court case was Biden suing him and him doing like Alabama. That's the part that gets me. It's like, yeah, I'm not doing it.
They have made our justice system the biggest laughing stock abroad. If people can read in other languages, I suggest you do. The German papers are like scathing. If you read things that aren't here, you'll actually see how they don't tell you everything here and how other people are viewing the country. It's really bad. It's not only the fact that people think that everybody's been gaslighted over here about how wonderful the horrible economy is. That's another thing. Like, miss me with that, because it's not wonderful. And I'm not seeing any changes except more interest things on my credit cards. So don't on my leg and tell me it's raining, because this is like off the chain. It's not cool. This is not doing well. Rich people are doing okay. And if I see one more rich people asking for money for a charity or for something else, like Oprah and like Dwayne The Rock, whatever, y'all got money. How about y'all just do you? Stop trying to, we're doing a whole program together. Can you all donate to Lahaina? I don't know what I gave, what people are giving from their pockets when they have so very little. They may not eat a meal or pay something of a bill because they donated to Lahaina. And I have to see some mouthpiece, a rich billionaire, asking me for money. I'm so over them, over billionaires. You're not interesting. You're not cute. You're not funny. I don't give a. So this down there with his stupid, like, he said he was not going to do anything. The district court, I think the 6th district court, told him he had to remove it at Texas's cost. And he said no. So now they have to go through this whole rip-roar. He's taking it all the way to the Supreme Court with Uncle Ruckus and, the doughboy running it, the corrupt whatever is going on. So, it's ridiculous. It's really sad. It is such a, like I said, start reading newspapers that are not from America. They're a little skewed here. This is horrible. This is actually when people are writing about the fact that there is a governor being allowed to put things in a river to massacre and chop people up and maim them. Well, the fact that nobody has gone and removed him just for the simple fact of, is he sane? Come on. What's he going to do next? Stand on the tower of, like, in the middle of Austin and start like throwing hand grenades at people? I mean, this is a man who clearly lost more than his legs in his accident.
Isn't the whole
someone
goal,
needs to challenge that?
The whole goal is to kind of get us kicked out of NATO for human rights violations, because that's what the Republicans ultimately want. I mean, because this is a direct human rights violation. Yeah.
The NATO should start demanding that we have accountability with The Hague, actually. That's what they need to have. If we're going to be a global citizen, we need to be held accountable just as much as everybody else is, and have our people being charged in The Hague as well. Because the fact that people can, it's just gross.
All right, let's move on to our second to last conversation. Please. The Wisconsin plan to overturn an election. Just the looks of both you're giving, I want to duck.
I mean, for me, the whole thing is, it's like they're going to try and impeach this judge. They waited for there to be some evidence, right? Because remember, Wisconsin is that state where there were also false electors. They're that state that already, I don't know how many times that their votes were sent for a recount. And then people overwhelmingly voted for this judge because of the whole abortion issue. So Jill knows a little bit more of the details about why their explanations for trying to impeach her. But they know one thing that they're not going to be able to do is remove her. They're just going to try and silence her and not let her rule on things. But apart from that, they said that they were going to find a way to impeach her from when she was still running, before she even won the election. So I'm not understanding why the Democrats there are so surprised. They already said that was going to be the plan.
So Janet Protasiewicz, I don't know how to pronounce her full name, but she won this election by 11 points. And but what happened is it gave the liberals the majority on the court. And so Democrats were hoping that they would be able to overturn the state's abortion ban and throw out the Republican legislative electoral maps. But what happened is they started getting itchy, the Wisconsin Republicans. This is why they're GOP, they're RICO. They always have a plan about really doing something illegal and criminal to somebody else. Okay, it's okay if you don't agree with this woman. But basically what they want to do is they're fabricating the fact that she took $10 million in donations from Democrats in her thing, as if none of them did as well. So, Wisconsin Republicans were talking about impeaching her because she's heard a case. She got $10 million from the Democratic Party, and they're saying she can't fairly rule on redistricting cases, and that could weaken the GOP's hold on the legislature. Well, if anybody saw her campaign, you would realize that she had an ad that came out against her opponent, who had been asked years ago. He was sort of had a scandal because he didn't recuse himself and he took money from a case. Wisconsin's a mess, y'all. Girl, there's more than cheese happening there. So she had made a comment in her actual campaign that she would recuse herself in this whole thing, like if she had to go into redistricting, because in her campaign she said, in order to finger him, she ended up saying it's not right to take money from somebody if you're then going to rule on their same court case later on from your donor. Well, the interesting thing, which I think was a little stupid of her, was she that desperate to get the votes? But she must have been. So basically, the other justices have received money as well. There's other justices who got 1.3 million. The Republican Party also gave their justices money. So these races are state Supreme Court races are, by the way, guys, coming down the pike. They're spending over like $97 million pouring into these races because 33 states will hold elections on their seats, on their highest seats in 2024. So the Democratic Party is like hammering home, and even the Republicans too. But here's the thing: in 2017, Wisconsin, they got rid of their recusal laws, so they don't have to recuse themselves on a case. So when this stuff happened with the $10 million, this other justice, somebody Bradley, she dissented that she didn't think that Protasiewicz, that Janet, should be involved and we should impeach her because she's blah, blah, blah. But now this Bradley chick, who's a judge, go look up and see what her trajectory was with Scott Walker in charge, because she was a judge every 3 months and got promoted. So clearly she was doing something. And she's also had a scandal in her past where she represented, one woman was in a divorce. This is in her law days. So she's just heinous herself. She defended a man that she was sleeping with in his custody battle. She was the judge in the case. And so the ex-wife who was in this case and they were fighting custody over the kid was like, I want her recused from my court case because she used to sleep with my ex-husband. And they let her stay on. So Wisconsin has some nasty problems. And I think that Janet Protasevich or whatever will probably take her case up to the Supreme Court. But the reality is, all it's done now is that it's revealed just how illegitimate most of their judges are on their Supreme Court. It's actually revealed that they're all pretty gross and they're all finger pointing from their glass houses. And it's like, should we keep digging to see what else we find out about all of you people? Because it's a right-wing, what are they saying? Right-wing Wisconsin justices throw rocks from their glass houses. And you can best be assured that people are going to go down all of their funky drawers to find gold. And we will.
Okay. Aisha, do you want anything?
Just
okay.
Stay tuned.
All right. We have. Okay. All right. We have reached our last conversation.
And wait,
topic.
that's the truth. You have it written well. They're overturning an election.
Yeah.
So yet again, I think they need a RICO charge because they're all of the same mindset. They're all coming together to perpetrate a fraud against the voters of Wisconsin. And their should be grass. And this is the saddest part of all. Our judicial system is just gross. Like, why are they even now? What? It's just gross. I don't even think highly of any of them. I think they're gross. Who are they to judge? Who is anybody to judge, right?
All right. Last conversation piece. The strike that seems to go on forever and ever and ever is continuing. And it seems that someone is waiting for something to happen here. Come on. I'm waiting. This
I
is
can see it.
So it's going to come up eventually, but
We can see
okay,
it.
good. Gavin Newsom offers to help end the Hollywood strike. What's he doing?
He tried to offer because it's killing all restaurant work. It's killing retail. It's killing a lot of things. And it's time for those to settle it. Because the reality is that he offered and neither one of them responded to him. Neither the SAG people or the executives have come together. In my mind, these corporations have a responsibility. They're in our fucking territory that they need to respect people. They make a ton of money on really very movies these days. I know that, there's got to be other ways to leverage against them. And, people soon will stop with their subscriptions because nobody will be able to afford it. There's a big trickle down. And it's really sad because you can see all the restaurants already are like, people will lose more than just the writers losing whatever. It's affecting us all. And I got to tell you something. I'll get rid of all my and I'll sit at home and play cards because it's not important enough for me. It's important that they get this and find a way to resolve. I don't like when people can't come together. I think it's a horrible reflection. It's a business and you want to stranglehold somebody. And I also think the journalist who said there was somebody who said they wanted to see people lose their houses, I think that person should be made to tell who was the executive who said it. I think it's really important because it's impacting all of us, writers, journalists, musicians, everybody. And we need to see the piece that said it. And if the journalist, I challenge that journalist to come. It's not like a real source. You're not a real journalist. You're writing for, come on, but you're making some money. Like stand up and be a person, humanity. The person should be outed.
Anything you want to add, Aisha?
Just that, remember, it's not the celebrities that you see who make $10 million a movie, or the people, the late night talk show hosts like Jimmy Fallon and them who have all the money. It's the people who on the ground level who even do the catering. Okay. Those people. It's the people who sit
Makeup
and
artists.
wade through
And
all
their
the
children.
videotapes of casts and go through that stuff, who make $32,000 a year.
Yeah.
And their work is going to be replaced by AI. So it's those people, remember, that need the fair shake. It's those people who should have quality health care when if they have enough to pay J-Lo $20 million a movie, then they have enough money to give all those people on the ground level a livable salary plus benefits plus a percentage of these films that these people are going to keep making money off of when they sell them to Amazon Prime and Hulu and Paramount and all those things.
All we need is 1 week. If everybody just unsubscribed all of their platforms for 1 week, 2 weeks would really be wonderful. Take your money back. It would be really interesting because people have the power, and they, I think that, but I don't believe American people have it in them. Personally, I don't. They have no integrity, and, they don't. So it's going to be a sad day. There's a lot of kids who won't eat. And, but I'm begging that the journalist gets some and say, I hope it gets leaked who it was that said it. And I hope that Newsom will be able, because he did say that by fall, if something doesn't come together, he's going to do something. There's got to be a law, and there's got to be some kind of law for this. So that's that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. There's something has to be done more than just, I want to see Law and Order SVU come on in the fall instead of January. No.
I gotta be honest, guys. I have like so much that I subscribe to, and I'm always the dilemma of like, there's nothing to watch.
Yeah.
I honestly,
and
it's all pretty much
that,
garbage anyway.
Remember, who is it? The guy.
And Barbie wasn't that great, and neither was that other about the nuclear thing. They really hyped that out of it. But Barbie, the fact that they had to tell it had a wonderful theme. Don't get me wrong, but the fact that they had to make it so stupid and dumbed down for the audience, that's another thing that underscored American thinking.
But also to remember the guy from Disney that left and then came back and owned it, and also did that interview and said that he did not think that these people deserved the kind of money that he makes because of the work that he does. Dude, you also just increased the fees for people to get Disney Plus and removed a couple million episodes of TV. So people, what are you really getting if they're charging you more to get less?
I know. Isn't that the name of the game? If you go in the supermarket right now, the bags are smaller, the ounces weigh more. They're actually wrong. Like I was at Trader Joe's the other day, and the contents of the food in their pasta bags, it's not that, I forgot to weigh the bag. But once you pour that, it ain't 8 ounces. It's far less. So, and then it says there's 6 servings. That's not true. There's so much going on. 6 servings. I'm like, of what? Of a spoonful? What am I, Mary Poppins? A spoonful of sugar. But they're all doing it. And for me, what's so scary is to see how unregulated everything in America is. The FDA, the CDC, how people are just doing willy-nilly whatever they want. And then to see how long and slagged off and lag time in the courts. It's no wonder people say, I'll grift, get me later, I'll be dead. Because they will be. I mean, honestly, it's terrible. A terrible pronouncement of this country. And that's why nothing changes. It's like, I don't know. It's really sad, but the products are smaller.
All right. That's it. We end on being small, though it was a very big conversation. I want to say thank you, as always, to Aisha and Jill for taking time out of their positive, productive schedule. And let me just be honest with your family. Aisha said she was only going to be able to be on for an hour tonight.
Yeah, I'm getting uncomfortable now.
Yeah, so I saw that. So I said, you know what? It's time to shut it down. So first things first, what we want to do is give contact information. First up, let's go to Jill Jones when it pops up on my screen.
Jill Jones Music at Instagram and Threads.
Yes, I have a little bit of a delay here, so bear with me because I don't know if you're on by yourself on screen. Okay, I'm having a delay here.
Yeah, she's
Okay,
showing up.
here we go. All right, there we go. Yeah, it's slow on my monitor here. Okay, so there we go. Jill Jones, music, Instagram, and threads. Next up, we go to Aisha K. Staggers. Hopefully, it'll be quicker. Okay,
Yep, it's
now
up.
it went quick. All right, and that's all right. Aisha K.
Sorry,
Staggers.
I'm gonna mute myself.
That's how to
No
reach me.
problem. Aisha K. Staggers is AK Staggers on Instagram. All right, family, and then we just put it back to me. And you can get a hold of me at all these different things. The website, the drvibeshow.com, email dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, The Dr. Vibe Show. I guess I got to change it to X instead of called Twitter, X at drvibeshow, and then Instagram at the drvibeshow. All right. You can watch replays of this epic conversation on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, The Dr. Vibe Show, and then on the Dr. Vibe Show website, the drvibeshow.com. So a few last things before we shut it down. As always, subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and also hit the notification button. Then like the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Next up, you can join and please do, because a lot of this stuff, we go deeper on the Discord group. So email me at vibe at the drvibeshow.com. Join the Discord group, and we'll make it happen. Toot sweet as all right. We're gonna shut it down because I don't want any more technical jambalaya here. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller, get stronger. Block assumptions, aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember to give yourselves grace and don't just manage your time, manage your energy. We'll see you in the Discord group. And remember, keep the faith.